This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, go for it.
Perfect. So I closed my first loan in February of 2000. Um, Life was great. Markets booming 2000, 2001, 2, 3, and 4. Um, Married, kids, life's great. Um, '08, end of '07, beginning of '08, my first wife got sick. She ended up passing away in '09. So I spent about, I don't know, 18 months just not doing a whole lot of anything except for trying to raise 5 kids. I came back after the market crashed and saw that there was a need for credit and credit help. So my current wife, always tells me that, even back then I was a pretty arrogant human being. Today I try to spend most of my time helping another human being. So I launched a for-profit at first called A1 Credit and Financial Services, which was a for-profit credit company. We did that for about 2 years, and we actually did very well at it, but we weren't getting the traction we wanted to on the mortgage and real estate side. So instead of charging people in 2015, we switched this to a nonprofit. Nonprofit was called Educational, and is still around, Educational Credit and Financial Services. Um, and what we do is we help people with pretty much banged up credit get their credit ready and get them pre-approved for a mortgage, and then put them with a realtor. Where this is a little different in our scenario with ELG and Fathom at this point, we're kind of doing a joint venture with, if you guys, everybody has their own lender, and everybody knows Mike Derby sitting right here. Um, but at the end of the day, everybody gets comfortable with their lender. But what happens to those files that get declined, or somebody that you can't help, or the lender goes, you know what, we are unable to get this guy approved. He's got a 500 credit score. Um, so what I do, and this is free, and you'll see this later on in the presentation, this is a free service for Fathom agents. Um, and I'm going to just start running through the presentation and kind of going through this. Basically, the first is save time, save money, and grow your business. If you had a free, and we call it credit education, we don't call it credit repair. If you had access to a free credit education program where on average somewhere between 90 and 120 days, I'm taking somebody with a 500 credit score, getting them in the state of North Carolina. I understand we have to have a 640, but still we're somewhere between that 90 and 120 day range. In most of the country, as long as we get them above 600, we're good. But in North Carolina, to make it easier and to be able to get the pricing right, we need to get scores above 640. So we're asking for that 90 to 120 days. But this is a value add service for you guys that is free to you and obviously free to your clients. So I'm going to jump into a few of accomplishments that we've done since we've been here. So I started with ELG March 8th. I met Chris right at the 9th or 10th. He turned this file into me. Now, this file is a little unique, and it does not happen this fast, but it's just kind of, this is what put me on the radar with, and I'm actually going to take a step back away from this. How I got to ELG was my wife is a Fathom real estate agent. My wife came from a background that is not real estate. And locally, on a local basis, my wife has closed in having her real estate license in, she's coming up on 2 years in May, and she's closed 61 transactions. In the first 6 months, my wife closed 21 transactions of having her real estate license. And Marco and Nick, who's the local broker here, picked up the phone and called my wife and said, "How are you doing this?" And she said, "It's not really me. My husband takes people with bad credit, fixes their credit, gets them pre-approved, and then gives them to me to go show houses or refers them out to other agents." And, so that's how I ended up on the radar of ELG and Fathom. Is I've been doing the same thing for a lot of years at this point. Um, so fast forward to day 4, I got my first file, and this file came up as a refer. Not even this was a refer with caution. So when we run files through the system, it'll come up approve eligible, which is great, or refer eligible, which is still decent. Most of the time we can get those done, or refer with caution, which means we are not getting this done. The gentleman had a new build. He had put a $15,000 deposit down on this house. The builder said, "You've got 60 days to get this done, or you lose your $15,000 deposit." He had been turned down by 3 different lenders. Now, it's not always about credit score for me. I'm looking for what's called the approve eligible. The credit score wasn't great. It started out at a 586. I didn't do a whole lot, but in a couple weeks, I tweaked the credit scores enough, and it really wasn't the credit score. It was actually physically what was on the credit report that I got to mangle around and play with. That got the score up to a 603 and turned that into an approve eligible. The good part about this is we ended up with a builder relationship. This is a Fathom agent and an ELG loan officer. So this was a good start to what I did. And this is when they were like, "Well, we need to roll this out." And I was like, we started out slow. We started rolling this out in different markets very slowly just to make sure that my team and I could handle the volume, which at this point we're doing about 30 a week, which isn't a lot. My team can do about 400 to 500 of these a month is what we're programmed for. Um, so next, Nick is how I got here. Nick is he is the broker DD for the DC Metro and Pennsylvania region. And Nick laughed at me when he handed me this file. And this doesn't happen very often either, where all the dates line up. I know I said I started here on March 8th, but Nick gave this to me in February when I was still at my old company and said, kind of laughed and chuckled, said, "This client is moving from Georgia to Maryland. She's in an abusive relationship. She's going through a really terrible divorce. Credit score is terrible. She does have some money in the bank. Can you get this done?" And I looked at him and said, "Absolutely. How much time do I have?" And he said 90 days. So fast forward, I took a 515 on February 8th and turned it to a 614 on April 8th. 90 days from start to finish, this loan closed. So if you think about it, March 8th, April 8th, May 8th, 90 days. So all of those days kind of line up. What comes out of our Encompass system, our mortgage system that we keep track of all of our loans in the database, is what you see in the bottom section of this. It shows that the day the loan was originated, sent to processing, sent to underwriting, and funded. So everything 90 days start to finish. I asked for 90 to 120 days. Normally we're not closing. Normally we're getting you guys pre-approved and out in that 60 to 90 day period, and we're closing somewhere around 120 to 130 days. So the greatest part for Nick is I took a dead deal and Nick made $14,000 on this deal. That solidified my relationship with Nick, and Nick and I talk 3 to 4 days a week now. And I help him on a lot of things. He helps me out on a lot of things as well. Um, but he is full blown. My stands on the top of the tallest buildings and screams my name because I get stuff done that nobody else wants to. Here are some actual examples. So on the left-hand side of your page, here's a blank canvas. And if you look at the top highlighted section, right under where it says requested by, it says date. And I believe that says 8/16. And if you look 60 days later, on the far right screen, it says 10/16. They have a 708 middle score from a no score. Blank canvases are the easiest ones for me to do. I get them done, I get them ready, and I get them out looking for a house. This person actually went to settlement in December from having no credit to buying a house in December. Here's one that's more typical. I get a credit score. It's a 581, a 572, and a 628. And if you look at the start date on this one, I have to zoom in, is like, I believe 620, 720, but this is our average. This is about a 90-day average. Our middle score went from a 581 to a 621. Takes me a little bit of time to get all the credit straightened out, cleaned up, and done without just disputing a whole bunch of crap that's not going to run through the system. I come at this from a different perspective than most people. I come at this from a logical underwriting perspective so that we don't get down the road and the credit wasn't good enough or it's just propped up to where it's going to fail at the end and we're not going to close. I get these to where they're ready to buy a house, and I come at this from an underwriting perspective versus, just trying to get them their credit scores high. Because it's not always about a credit score. It's about an approved eligible and then being able to make a mortgage payment. Basically, during this process, I'm going to show you guys how to refer somebody into us that needs the program. Basically, there's a QR code that I'm going to have you guys take a picture of. It comes up with a form and it gets sent. If you're working with one of our loan officers, it actually goes to Mike Derby in North Carolina, per se. That's who this is going to go to first. Mike is going to collect all of the documents ahead of time. I want income. I want to see the entire picture, and I'm going to explain why. If we're looking at somebody that's got a 550 credit score that has $200,000 in a 401k, that one I can get done at a lower credit score versus somebody that has a 550 credit score and needs a down payment assistance program of some sort. I need that credit score to be higher for it to be able to go through our system. So it needs to go to the loan officer first. At that point, he's collecting 401ks, pay stubs, bank statements, W-2s, everything involved. So when I get the entire file, I can look at this from a holistic perspective and go, okay, I have income, I have assets, or I'm short income, I'm short assets, so I need to restructure this to get the credit scores higher so that we can get them into the house that they're looking for. Here is the QR code that I would like everybody to take their phone out right now and take a picture of it. What it does is this is the informational page. It has the agent's name, the agent's email, agent's phone number, client's phone number, client's contact. Mike or another loan officer will reach out to your client, collect all of the information, and then get them to me. I'm going to leave this up for a second just to make sure everybody got it. Does anybody have any questions so far? Craig, anybody ask questions in the box?
I haven't seen anything pop up as far as the chat, so I think we're good right now.
Okay. All right.
Josh, I'm
Yes.
trying to figure out how to unmute my microphone. What percent of the referrals that you get have both a bad credit and not a lot of extra money to pay off debt?
So
Not
what percentage of those? About 70%. Now, if you take that number and you figure out what we're doing, so percentage wise, it's very cut, dry, and simple. Our numbers are very consistent. 82% of the people that come through our program close. They buy a house at some point, whether it's 6 months, 8 months, 10 months. But I will tell you, once they crest over that 6-month mark, they lose interest. That is why this process is very quick, very fast. Get them in, get them out, and get them out looking for a house before they sign another 12-month lease. The longer that they're renting, the less likely they are to go buy a house, even after going through the program. But if we can get them done within that 90 to 120-day window, 82% are closing. Does that answer your question?
he may have.
Yeah, that answers my question. Very impressive. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I apologize, guys. I've been sick for about 10 days now, so I get to blow my nose occasionally during this. But at least I'm not in person and getting you guys sick as well. This just basically runs through the process of it all, which, basically all you got to do is click on that QR code, send us the lead, and we'll get it taken care of. So what we did is, this is local to the DC metro area. This is 6 real estate agents. And I'll tell you this is just roughly what we did based on a very small scale. $11 million entered into the CCE program in the course of April to September. $6 million in pre-approved went out and are out looking. And this number has changed. So this is an older slide. These numbers are actually even better today, but we just wanted to give you guys a sample. Of that original 11 million, $3.2 million went under contract. There has been $7.1 million in purchased real estate that is closed. 19 purchase transactions, and 18 people currently out looking for homes, which turned into, in that little bit of time, $177,000 in unrealized commissions that were dead deals. There's not another bank on this earth that would have closed the loans with the credit scores being where they were at the time of them entering the program. So there was literally 19 purchase transactions closed that were dead to every other lender. That's a very, very powerful slide for me. And I'm getting ready to update it for the last quarter. And those numbers are really, really good.
Send that out when you get it updated. We'd love to see the updated numbers for sure.
So the new PowerPoint should be finished and approved, I'm hoping, by the end of this month. So I'll be able to send that out. I'll send you guys a copy of it.
So Josh, one more question. That is impressive. Can you flip back to that slide?
Possibly.
Right. So I just want to make sure I understand. I mean, on the right side, I'm looking at, are these substantial transactions? Looks like an average closing price of over 300,000. So that'll work, especially for first time buyers. It's not like you can expect them to be huge, right?
This is, just so we're on the same page, it is DC Metro, but that also includes where I live. And I'm going to give you an example. I've done, on average, my entire life. And 10 years ago, when my wife passed away, 12 years ago, when my wife passed away, we moved from the DC metro area out to Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. I live at the base of Ski Liberty in a little Mennonite town. The town is 10,000 people. And this is where I operate from. So, but this also encompasses, the surrounding DC metro, about probably 60 miles and around Robin from DC. So it's still not where we want to be, but this is starting to create traction for a lot of agents and a lot of LOs for us on this side of the world at this point. And now that we rolled this out on a national basis, I'm doing this on a daily basis. My team is literally sitting behind me as we speak right now, working on credit reports and putting them in front of me. When I tell you we can do 350, 400 of these a month easily, we can do that. Ryan and I, by ourselves, a couple, probably right before we went to Summit, we went through our entire pipeline in 2 days, which was about 232 clients. And we did that all, and we touched each file over the course of 2 days. Now, they were 10-hour days, but that means if you space that out in a 5-day period, how many we can actually get done.
Yeah.
So if I answered the question or not, but when I take this very seriously. When I tell you I'm going to bleed for your client, it is I'm not allowed to cuss on these things anymore. I've been reprimanded, but I was a jackbag in the first half of my life. I was arrogant. I owned an internet company. I was a successful mortgage guy. God tapped me on the shoulder, and I'm not a Bible thumper. I don't go to church, but I do believe in God. And at the end of the day, it changed my life watching somebody get sick and die in front of me. And I wanted to go out and make an impact and change the world. One person at a time. If I can go help another human being get something that they were unable to get, this is what I do. So when I tell you I will bleed for your clients, I'm the guy screaming and yelling. I was on a conference call with Modest, and Mike Darby knows who Modest was yesterday, telling him he's wrong and we are going to close this loan. I've been told 11 times in 9 months that we can't close these loans. All 11 have closed. This is what I do. When I tell you I'm good at this, I'm the best when it comes to FHA, USDA, and VA. I'm not an A paper guy. Mike Darby might want your A paper. Don't send it to me. I don't care for it. Don't like it. I want to go help somebody who can't help themselves.
And Josh, when we were preparing for this call, you had mentioned the really small amount of loans that have been gone through your program, gotten a loan, and then had defaults. Do you want to mention that number again?
Repeat that.
We were talking about how many loans that you've gotten through that the person ends up defaulting on the loan sometime down the road, and you said it's a really small number.
So I want everybody to know in 25 years, in 25 years of doing this, I've had 3 foreclosures and I've had 4 buybacks. So Mike Darby will say that's pretty impressive from a loan officer perspective. The clients that go through this program, they pay their bills. I'm hard on them. I am not, this isn't a cakewalk to get them to do this. Some people that come into this go, we don't want to do this. That's at 18%. And I'm okay with that. Because I know the 82% that do complete this program, they're going to make a mortgage payment. They're not going to crash and burn. They want this house. They need this house. They're tired of paying $1,500 or $1,800 a month in rent. They're tired of every year, and it's going to get worse. By 2027, rents are expected to go up another 30%. BlackRock, all of these Vanguard, all these companies are buying up all these properties. So the sooner we can get people out of renting a home and get them into a home, the better off we're all going to be.
I think that's a great point, Josh. I was raised in California, and about 2013, when I was at my firm before, Coldwell Banker, before Fathom, an agent came out from San Diego, and he had made a bunch of money in San Diego, and he said, the triangle is going where San Diego is, and pretty soon homes are going to be selling for $200 or $300 a square foot. And everybody sort of chuckled. I didn't chuckle because I knew it was happening in San Diego. I wasn't sure it was going to happen, but I knew it was possible, and it's happened, right? So I think we tend to think that rents, home prices can only go up so much above rents because it's a bubble that can pop. And while I do believe that rents are the ultimate support to home prices, what we've seen is in California, home prices have been unsustainably, I put that in air quotes, above the rents that they can generate for decades. I mean, markets go up and down and they just stay, quote, overpriced, close quote. So I agree with you with the BlackRock, which is new. I mean, that BlackRock is really subsequent to that happening in California. It's going to get worse. So,
and North Carolina is kind of in the same boat, but DC Metro is Texas. We have a 5-year shortage on being able to buy homes. We don't have enough homes for people that want to buy a home right now. So, and the triangle is all part of that. It is. I believe that you guys are sitting on what's 350,000 now, end up being 650,000 by 2030. It's coming, and it's funny because the tech sector where you guys live, everybody's moving to there. Charlotte's a big boom right now. Even I'm trying to get Myrtle Beach on board because there's a lot of people moving into South Carolina because you can still buy a house there for $100 a square foot. So the sooner that we can attack these markets and get everything moving and we can own more of this, the better off all of us are going to be.
Before you leave this slide, let me just ask one more question about the left half of it. So these numbers are mutually exclusive, right? You're either in the program, or you're pre-approved and looking, or you're under contract, or you have closed, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Very impressive.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah, and that was so. As I said, I started in March. March 8th was my hire date. Although I was working on a handful of files prior to that, just to kind of get the ball rolling. But this basically are numbers that closed. The first loan, I believe, closed April 8th, and then all the way through September. So this is April, May, June, July, August, and through the end of September. So September 30th. So exactly 6 months. These are the numbers for 6 months. Now, these numbers have obviously gone up. December wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. But here's the funny part. And I don't know how many of you guys on this call actually closed loans in December, but on average, we locally, my wife closed 4. But when you're ready, I don't care if it's Christmas Day. The credit clients, they run. They want to go see a house. As soon as you tell them that they are ready, they run. So it's not like they're sitting back going, oh, we'll see what comes around. We'll wait till the market gets better. No. As soon as you get somebody that is unable to buy 3 months ago and is able to buy today, they run. But the rest of the market didn't pick up on that. And we didn't get enough files out, I think, in December that I wanted to. But January is looking really good, and February is going to be super strong with the amount of people we cut loose the first week of January so far. So the more files we get in, the more people we can go out and help. As I said in the beginning, I get told not to do this in order, but this doesn't cost you guys a penny. It costs $0 to your agents, $0 to your clients. The catch is Fathom has to use Encompass Lending Group as the lender. That's how we get paid. We are, sister companies, however you want to classify it, but we're all in this together. The other thing, you can't combine any other promotions with this, except for Hometown Heroes. Hometown Heroes, if you're not part of Hometown Heroes, you should become a part of Hometown Heroes. It's a great program, and it helps out a lot of people as well. And we do a lot of joint stuff with Hometown Heroes. But I waive any and all dollars and cents that come into this program if it's a Hometown Heroes. So my son was a Marine, just is one of the reasons. My dad was a pilot in the Air Force for 25 years, did 3 13-month tours in Vietnam. So Hometown Heroes is a great program. So if you guys don't know about it, just go get with Craig, get into the program. The Hometown Heroes program is great. Teamwork. I'm going to realign this to be a little bit more Josh friendly rather than corporate friendly on the next round of PowerPoint.
Josh, can I pick you up one slide? Sorry.
Yeah.
The previous slide, I was listening to you and not reading, and then I saw it said clients can do it at no cost.
So yes, clients can do it at no cost. Here's the problem. And we have not run across this yet, but if a client ends up going to another lender, can I bill the client for services rendered? Absolutely. Will I? No.
Sounds like real estate.
So, honestly, if you've got a buyer that's out looking and ends up going out with somebody this weekend and goes and buys another house, are you going after it? Are you going to waste? There are some realtors that will. Me, most of the clients that walk through here, they get up. When I tell you they stand on, if you go to my Facebook page, they'll tell you from the tallest building. I'm one of the most stand-up, good guys that are left on this earth that are trying to help another human being. So, especially when it comes to, being able to buy a house. So yes, Can I go back at them for services rendered? Yes. Will I? I'll tell you guys this, absolutely not, I won't. But is it out there? Yes, and we have to say that we can. ELG can, I won't.
Okay, but I can safely tell them that there won't be a charge, but that
There
they need to
is
use your
there is
company.
zero charge. I don't, here's what I don't want to happen. And if we see a pattern of it, it will and I did see a pattern of it, but the loan officer is no longer with us. He ran a handful of clients through the program, and they ended up going with him somewhere else. But there's nothing I can do about that now. So on those numbers are a little skewed. On the previous slide, but a long story short, there was another $6 million that's not on there that we actually that closed. They just didn't close with ELG.
Ouch.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm a big believer in karma too. So, um, so I'm not going to bore you guys with this crap. So if you like my presentation, if you guys would take a little survey and click on this at the end, it literally will take you guys 1 minute to just say, hey, make the program better by doing X, Y, and Z. You could say that he did a horrible job today. It just goes to the big bosses, and that's what this little QR code goes to.
Keep that up there for another minute or so agents have time to click on it or to take a picture of it. Anyone have any questions? Any other questions about this?
Yeah, I
Well,
have one question.
okay, go ahead.
So, can it help someone who has just arrived to the US with no credit score, no credit history, and how long could that take for them to build that credit?
If it depends on how quickly they get a Social Security. I can do I-10, but they still have to be established a little bit. But as soon as they get a so long story short, I'll give you an example. I helped a pastor in 2014. He runs a Russian Orthodox church in Hagerstown, Maryland. Started out with about 30 in their congregation. Now they're up to about 450. Of those 450, I've helped about 72 buy a house.
Wow.
And he brings them over. They are, under siege in Russia for their religion and all these kinds of stuff. And he's salt of the earth guy. His name's Pastor Mike. I've known him for 12 years. One of my very best friends on this earth today is one of my clients. His name is Sergei Kravchenko. And his family, they come by, just drop off food at my house. Not that we need the food, but they just do it just because we help them. And his wife is amazing. His kids are amazing. But that is the power of what we actually do. Some of us forget why we do this. We all do it to make money. Don't get me wrong. Everybody does this to make money. But if that's the only reason you're doing this for the wrong reason. We go out and help people. You guys go out and spend time with people, showing houses with their families, with their kids, walking in and out of 10, 12, 15 houses sometimes. You're spending time with them. Build that relationship. Even after the loan closes or the real estate transaction closes, you guys need to be able to pick up the phone and go, hey, how are you guys doing? How's the house? A month later. Even if they're not happy about some of the things about the house, sit and listen to them for a little while. Help them with some suggestions. Introduce them to one of your contractors if they need it. Everybody knows somebody. Keep building those relationships because those relationships are going to turn into business. The reason I do very well as far as overall is because of the relationships. It's not a matter of a real estate transaction or a mortgage. It's the relationship. And the relationship with the church is as I said, I don't go to church. I grew up Catholic. I'm one of 9. I have 7 sisters and a brother, and I'm number 8 out of 9. Good Irish Catholics. My mom still prays for me. My mom's 89, my dad's 90. My mom prays for me to go to church every Sunday. Still not there. But at the end of the day, there, this is what works in my world, which is the building of the relationship part.
Yeah.
And it turns into relationships and dollars and cents down the road that you can't imagine.
Robert, do you have a question?
Yeah, I do. Hey, Josh, great presentation. And I'm sure you said this at the beginning. I had to step out at the beginning for just a few minutes, but could you just give me a 10, 15-second uh, answer of how you bring up their credit? I saw one of your slides. Someone had to go through, uh, I think, financial education or something. So you work directly with them. Hey, you got to close this credit card. You got to do this. You got to do that. It's pretty much individually tailored to each person about what they have to do.
So I want you to do this, and I want you to look at the fingerprint. That is your thumb. Every last credit report is different. I have never seen two credit reports that are identical except for blank canvases. If it's a blank canvas, it's a blank canvas, and there's nothing on there. But somebody might have 3 student loans and 2 credit cards and a car payment and a condo. Some people every last credit report is different. So everything has got to be tailored. And literally it takes me 3 to 5 minutes to get through a credit report. And my team sitting behind me, obviously, they get through the credit report, mark things up, put it on my desk, and I just sit here and go through them, make the notes, give it back to them. They put it in the system, emails go out, phone calls get made, and that's what starts the process. It is rinse, wash, repeat. And literally sometimes, though, they don't see the emails, so we have to end up picking up the phone and making phone calls and going, hey, I'm the credit guy, or we're here to help. But once they get involved in the process, they get a hold of my phone number, and my phone rings. My wife loves this at 11 o'clock at night sometimes, and at 6:30 in the morning. My wife thought I had a girlfriend for a little while because I had a nurse that worked nights and would call me at 11:30 at night. But yes, this is everyone's different.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Josh, 2 questions for you, please. One is the feedback on the presentation. It asks, how would you rate the presenters delivering engagement on, quote, understanding home loans, quote. Is that it's got initial caps. Is that something special?
If you want to talk home loans, call Mike.
Okay. And then the other question.
A lot of this stuff comes down from corporate. So corporate loves me for what I do. They don't love me because I'm rough around the edges, and I'm not a yes sir kind of guy. I did that with my father, and that's the only man that I answer to that way. I'm not a bend over backwards, and I fight back. I'm the fighter of lost causes. So they put all that stuff in there. They would like you guys to fill out as much of it as humanly possible. And I know this is being recorded, and I know I'm going to get my hand slapped for it. But at the end of the day, I'm here to help. Credit, if you have scenarios, if you're having a problem getting something done, if your lender can't get it done, Mike's going to pick up the phone and call me. Clay Bohannon calls me. Everybody in this company, I won't say every, I've gotten 17 files from loan officers in this company, and I've gotten 14 back out the door in a week. Josh, can you look at this? We're having problems getting this through our system and getting it out. So that's just been within the last week. So I go in, I sit here at night, and I'll play with the file, get it approved, and get it back out the door to them.
Sounds
so
good.
I don't conform to most people's systems.
Okay. The other question is, and I'm not, don't take this question the wrong way. I think if, as you said, you're rough around the edges, and I tell a client, prospect, hey, I want you to give Josh a call. He's a little rough around the edges, but, he's going to get it done. I mean, is that the leading thing that you would say stops people from closing with you? They just don't like your style, or is it they sign a new lease? What would you say I can warn them about to prepare themselves, gird themselves, if you will, to make sure that it succeeds?
This is the arrogant Josh coming out. Clients love me. It has nothing to do with that. Where I'm rough around the edges is with corporate and corporate policies. I bend and break and move to make sure that your clients get approved. Period. I'm the last mile. So when it's crunch time, I'm the guy that's pushing back to them. So with your clients end up, it's a respect back and forth. If I send you an email or call you and you don't respond to me for 3 or 4 days, it's not important to you. So what I'm going to do is follow up with an email saying, when you're not busy and you've got time to go ahead and purchase your home, give me a call. And then what'll happen is that is my rough around the edges. That's about as rough as it's going to get for them. But at the end of the day, if this isn't important to them and they're not taking this seriously, they're going to fail out of the program anyway. So they're going to be one of those 18%. So, but 82% of them, I promise you, they'll get through this and they're going to love this. And they're going to say, oh my God, this was the greatest thing in the world. Thank you. You're on
Josh,
mute.
you're still sharing your screen. You probably ought to go ahead and knock that off unless there's some more presentation. Anyone else have any questions for Josh? Oh, Joe, you asked a question in the chat. I'm sorry, I don't remember what it was. Go ahead and ask it since you're unmuted.
Okay, hi. So can we advertise, like, can we post on social media?
Absolutely.
And is there specific information or just make our own or?
So Mike will help you guys co-brand all of that stuff. He's got flyers. We've got flyers. I actually have a team as well. And once you guys get with Mike, we can actually do custom flyers for you, which I've done for Georgia. I've done them for Utah. I've done them for Las Vegas. I've got a marketing team behind me as well for this. If you want something custom done, it might take us 48 hours, 72 hours, but we'll take and mash something up for you with what you currently have. If you send us some artwork, my team will knock it out and get it back to you within usually 3 days.
Okay, so you could do custom or there's some Fathom, like
There is.
existing. I mean, I'm not sure I'm looking for anything too fancy, just something. And then I, can maybe write something over it, my little comments about how cool this could be or whatever. But if I had a little something, that'd be awesome.
Yes. Mike.
I don't need anything fancy, something with the information. And also it'd be great to advertise Fathom in this way. Fathom is not necessarily, the highest luxury brand or the brand that everybody knows or whatever, but I feel like it's a good company and I'd like to, put it out there a little bit more. So this would be great.
I think Fathom's an excellent company. And
I just don't feel like people heard of it.
If you're a self-starter and you're doing your own marketing and you're getting your own leads and you're out there hustling and getting them and you get to keep 100% of your commission, I'd rather do that than give Remax or Keller Williams or any other 30, 40, 50% of my commission or join a team and get 20% of my commission. That is the Fathom. Fathom actually has a lot of good tools.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of tools and a lot of support.
And we have a lot of agents that do handle luxury homes and things like that too. I mean, it's all kind of whatever your niche is in the business. Because we have so many of us in this area and we don't have that home base with a big sign besides just that one office. I mean, it's one of these things where the only marketing Fathom does is through us and yard signs. But we do have a lot of agents that do the entire spectrum of the real estate world here in the Triangle and across the country.
I totally agree. I just like the opportunity to, put it out there a little bit more.
Yeah, so
you can use social media. You can use it all. And Mike, if you'll unmute yourself, Mike has got everything for you guys. All you have to do is send him an email, and I promise you, within 24 hours, Mike will get back to you and get you what you need. We've already got pre stuff done that you guys can post today. So, but if you do want something custom, I will give everybody my email address right now. It's very simple. It's jfreels@encompasslending.com. And if anybody wants anything custom, get with Mike first, and then we will take whatever it is that you guys want, and we'll make you guys something special. we do videos. Like if you go to my Facebook page, we do videos. It takes my daughter 10, 12, 15 minutes to do some of this stuff. And then she's got 2 girlfriends that actually work with us too that sit and do all of the marketing stuff for us. I'm too old to be doing that stuff. So their ears to the ground. My daughter did something when we were at Summit, because my daughter's a Fathom agent as well. She got 1.7 million likes while we were at Summit for something stupid, walking across the street skipping. But it was a trend, and she got it, and they're good at that. I'm not. I like paper. I like pens. And I like my notes. And I'm old, so I always have a big calculator.
All right, great. Well, yeah. So Joel, Mike put his email address in the chat, and if any of y'all have trouble finding it, just reach out to your district director. We can connect you with Mike. I think Becky, you have your hand up for a question. You need to unmute.
Correct. Josh, can you give us, in one of your slides, your CCEP process slide, there is a point where it says you're going to guide them through the necessary steps to achieve eligibility. Can you just give us a general feel for what necessary steps that is? What are you going to be asking them to do?
So some of it, like I said, it all depends on income and assets. So some of it, I'll give you an example. The theme for the first week of January is everybody's got 22 student loans. All right. So I'm going to walk you through a very typical one. 22 student loans, which is a file that's sitting here to my left. Credit score is 548. Okay. But they've got 22 student loans. And has anybody ever seen a student loan? Yeah. So it starts out at $2,000 and you don't pay it for 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 years. That $2,000 is now $4,000 times 22. So your high credit is $2,000, but your balance is now $4,000. How do you think that's impacting your credit scores? It's over their original credit limit. So what I end up doing most of the time, and I'll walk you through a very typical scenario, I make them go consolidate them, put them on an income-based pay. So if it's $70,000, we're getting a $70,000, everything gets paid off and zeroed out, which all goes to the bottom. It's a brand new account, $70,000 with a $70,000 balance, and the new income-based pay is $250 a month. Versus from the mortgage perspective, if it's just left the way it is and it's $70,000, I have to do either 0.5% or 1%, which is either $350 or $700 that counts against them. So if we can get it over to income-based pay, get it consolidated, it's one of the little steps. It could be paying off a couple $100 collections. It could be I've had clients in the last 45 days where we went, do you guys have One Main in North Carolina? One Main, I see a yes. So there's a couple of they're kind of sharky a little bit. The interest rates are a little high, but I've got somebody that had, $33,000 worth of credit card debt, and they're all maxed out. And the only way to do that is to consolidate that and put it into an installment loan, pay off the credit cards. So the credit scores weren't terrible, but the only person, they were like 590, but they were still struggling to get the approved eligible. So I walked them through going to One Main, consolidating the loan, which they consolidated about $25,000 of the loan, which was great because it actually reduced the amount of money going out of pocket on a monthly basis for them. One, allowed them to be able to buy more house. Number two, and what it did is it paid off almost all of the credit card debt except for about $8,800. So, and all of those were spaced out over a couple credit cards. Now they've got a $5,000 credit card with an $800 balance instead of a $5,000 credit card with a $4,900 balance. It's bringing their credit scores up just by moving. Sometimes I just move it around just to get it up and make it more palatable for them to be able to swallow a $1,700 mortgage payment too, because right now they're paying $1,500 in rent. And they're like, well, the houses we're looking at are going to cost us a little bit more money. Well, let's structure this to where you're not struggling either. So your total credit card payments were $1,100 a month. Now we're at $560. You've got an extra $500 a month now to play with. That's going to go towards, housing costs. So, we don't want them to max that out, but it covers that spread. Half of it, $250, gets them from that 15 to the 1750 mark. I'm looking at this from a different perspective than most people. That is a very typical scenario of where I'm just moving stuff around.
But it sounds like you're being a really in-depth, conscientious financial counselor, where you're really just sitting them down and saying, let's really figure out how much money you have coming in, how much money you have going out, what your debt is, figure out how to restructure that. And that takes a lot of trust on their part and a lot of time on your part, but that's an incredibly valuable service. So yeah, thank you. I appreciate you giving me some clues on that. So
I'm going to add a little bit more to the background.
Mhm.
I went to college at 16. I'm an accountant.
That's good.
So,
that's good.
That the other piece of this, I just sold my tax service company 18 months ago. I used to do anywhere from 600 to 700 tax returns a year.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So
Okay.
the self-employed bad credit borrowers, I help a lot because I can do P&Ls. I can do all of the things. I can help them structure things so that they're able to buy stuff too. Depreciation counts. We can roll stuff in. When I tell you I come at this from a very different perspective than most, I can't read or write, but I'm really good at numbers.
That's good. Well, it sounds like you're pretty good with people too.
But it's just the ongoing joke. But numbers have always just made sense in my head. And when I look at a credit report, they kind of bounce and move in my head. That's how it all works for me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Josh, let me chime in. Basically, I'm the one who's dealing with the client, right? Until gathering the documents, explaining the program, and then I send everything off to Josh. And then normally, 24 to 48 hours, he's responding to the client with what they have to do. Let me give you an example of one we're working on right now. I'd have to see the credit scores, but it says, good morning. Please settle the following collections. They will settle for 70% or less and email me paid receipts. Portfolio recovery, Jefferson Capital, Spring Oak. He gives the phone numbers for that. Both of you go get 2 secured credit cards. Once received, keep the balance below $50 at all times. Please let me know you received this by replying to the email and let me know when these items are completed. From time of completion, we are 70 days away from getting you pre-approved for a mortgage. Have a great week. Client respond, thank you. I've received your email and will email the receipts back to you as soon as I get these bills paid. So that's an example of how it works. Okay, and how in depth he's thinking with it.
I'm kind of just helping them get to this by kind of hand holding them. And a lot of the times, the truth is when I send that email out, my phone number's on there. And I'll say about 50% of the time I get a phone call. My phone, I put it on silent, but my phone's rang probably 17 times since I've been on this. And usually my evenings from about 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. are returning people's phone calls. Most of the time I can get to everybody. Some days I can't. My wife usually likes me to shut everything off by 9 o'clock. But that doesn't always happen either. So I'm a workaholic. I work 7 days a week. I work 12-hour days. My staff is here on Saturdays and Sundays most of the time. So that will tell you the blood, sweat, and tears we want. You guys need this stuff done. Mike, if you need a pre-approval letter on a Saturday, he's going to make sure that you have that pre-approval letter on a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon, even if it's in the middle of a game. So that is what the dedication that I am not like anybody else you're ever going to meet in your entire life. When I tell you I bleed for this, and I want your clients to go buy a house.
Yeah, I think Anastasia has a question, or your hands up at least.
Yes, this is a real quick question. I think I stepped away when you touched base on this. Wanted to know regarding like I know a lot of first time home buyers. I'm not sure if you touched bases if they will get like the first time the down payment assistance or whatever, or is it just the credit that they're
So
getting?
I work on the credit stuff, but Mike's going to tell me ahead of time, hey, they don't have a lot of funds. I need
Hmm.
this. I need a DPA program. So what's going to happen is I'm going to gear everything. When I tell you I come at this from a different perspective, I need to know all the information. So
Hmm.
if they need a DPA, I need to know that so that when I'm working on the credit, I need to get the scores to X to get them approved for a DPA as well.
Got you. Okay.
So yes. Now, after all the questions are done, I'm going to throw something out there that I would like to do, and I'm testing this out to see how this is going to work. So when all the questions are done before, and I know Craig said that we want to keep this as close to 1 hour as possible. We're right at that 1 hour mark.
Well, I think all the hands are no longer raised. There's nothing in the chat, so I think we're probably done with the questions. So go ahead.
I have one more question.
Oh, never mind.
Sorry, you said you have an 82% success rate. Is that roughly what you said? I guess it
Yes, ma'am.
seems like though a person that is successful in this situation has to be motivated. Like there's work to do. It's not just you, right? They have to actually do the things you're telling them to do. Is that right?
Correct. But most people ready. This is what I see. And I'll tell you this, and this is going to sound terrible, but I'm going to tell you what I see. I got a new girlfriend and we want to go buy a house and my scores are 480. And 2 weeks later, I never hear from them again. That is scenario one. Scenario two, my landlord wants us out in June. How do I fix this? Scenario three, that one is a very successful one. Scenario two or three at that point is the landlord is raising my rent. It's going from $1,200 to $1,450. I need to get out of here. He doesn't fix anything. This is the problem. How soon can we get this done? So usually that number starts creeping up between scenarios 2, 3, and 4. Scenario 1 happens a lot, which is falls in that 18%. But most of the people that want to go buy a house are ready to go. They want this. They start saving money, especially this time of year. You'll figure out how serious somebody is when you figure out what they do with their tax return. That tax refund money, I always tell them, save half. Go piss away half. Take half of it, go to Walmart, go buy your big screen TV, go buy whatever it is that you're going to buy. Take half of it and put it in the savings account because you're going to need money for an EMD. You're going to need money for home inspections and you're going to need money for an appraisal. Roughly at least $2,000 at a very minimum you're going to have. So when I tell you I'm very blunt and honest with these guys, the ones that want to do this, and they want to buy a house. 82%. Do you want me to tell you what my local close ratio is with these? 96%. The people that enroll within a 30-mile radius of Joshua Freels, 96% of them buy a house.
That is great. Okay, well,
That means even with these high mortgage rates, everybody's like, oh, yeah. Like
It's look, I'm going to burst everybody's bubble. Interest rates are going to maintain somewhere between 5.875 and 6.5% for the next 3 to 5 years. Don't let anybody ever lie to you and tell you they're going to be down in the 4s again or the low 5s. I've been telling everybody this for the last 8 months. Everybody's like, they're coming. Rates are coming. Refinances are coming.
they're not.
They're not.
Yeah.
I live and breathe for the markets. When I tell you what I do in my part-time side when I'm laying in bed at night and I can't sleep, I read and I watch and I pay attention to the market. Rates are going to maintain 5.875 to 6.5 for the next 3 to 5 years. Everybody get comfortable being uncomfortable, and we all have to get out here and sell houses. We all need mortgages. It's all purchase business. That is what we have to focus on. I'm going to do something, and you guys tell me if it's a good idea or not, and I'm taking a poll. I would like to come to Raleigh in the general area where you guys are, and I would like to do what I call a mashup. I've done them locally, and I get 60 to 80 clients that show up. I would like to do a realtor and end user client home buying credit seminar where I'll advertise, I'll get out there, we get in our churches, we dig deep, and we drag 60 to 80 butts and get them in seats. And of those 60 to 80, you guys will split on average what I'm seeing out of the last one we had 72 people show up. Of those, we have 40 people in the program. Okay. So, and I just did one in November. So if this is interesting to you, I'd like to come out in April on my own dime. This isn't ELG money. This is Josh Freels money. And put together something with Craig and everybody. And you guys need to talk to Craig about this. But I would like to come out in April and do a home buying credit seminar for you guys. For the ones that attended today, for this group, I would like to do that. Thoughts?
It sounds like a great idea. My thought is I want to get some marketing information that I can use, in going to churches. And of course, a date this far in advance, in April gives me time to go to a number of different places. So that sounds pretty attractive.
And it doesn't have to just be churches. I will rent a conference room at a hotel or a library, and we will do it there. Capacity probably right around 100 people, and I'll pay for it out of my own pocket, and we'll get it done. Craig's smiling, so I did something.
I'll smile at one of the comments. Yeah, I think you'll have interest. I think we were going to have a follow-up call, me, you, and Matt and Aaron later this month, and we'll make some plans so we can talk about it then. But it sounds like I think we'll have agents interested.
That's good. I'm just taking a poll. I would like to do 6 this year, and North Carolina is on my bucket list to do one of these in.
Okay, that sounds. And you do these on weekends or evenings. What do you generally find better?
I spent 3 months traveling. I was gone. Doesn't matter. Saturday. You don't do them on Sundays because that's church folks.
Yeah.
You either do them on a Thursday night or you do them on a Saturday. You do them Saturday at like 12:30 or 1 o'clock so people can get their kids to sports and practices and still be able to get to you at 1 o'clock.
Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely make plans to do something like that. Okay. Well, Josh, that was really.
Maybe we'll do one on a Thursday night, one on a Saturday, and I'll come spend Wednesday to Saturday, and I'll fly out Saturday night.
Okay, that could work. Guys, everyone, thank y'all for being on this call. That was great. Josh, that sounds good. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording here because I think we're done.